Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm so, I think just like me, you probably all also think we are very fortunate to participate in such a grand occasion, the US from India, and the enthusiasm from Anantha Chaithanya Prabhu is really incredible, isn't it? The effort he's put into it, and he's collected so many people, and I'm so impressed that he also has his old school friends and family here as well. So I really appreciate the family joining him, and I also heard that they're very sad to let the lordships leave India to come here, and they all followed him here to celebrate the installation of his deities that he has been serving for, I think, 15 years or so. And his journey to worshipping these deities is amazing, isn't it? And it looks like the deity wanted him to serve him from the very beginning. You look at all the stages. He trained him and put him in touch with the right sources at the right time when he was ready for them. And I remember, I was introduced to this deity when he went to India 4 or 5 years ago. And you could see the love that he had for the deities there. He kept saying, they're not perfectly dressed, but to me, they look so beautiful. I remember the first darshan I had of Sri Radha Vrindavan Bihari. I hope I'm not butchering the name, but I still remember, I still have that image of the lordships in my mind, that he had shared. He was so excited. This is probably after he had installed the altar there, and he said he was there just a day before. But he could not wait to share the pictures at that time. I remember, they were shared pretty soon after he had been there. So I'm very grateful to Anantha Chaithanya Prabhu for showing his love and being so honest about his journey, bringing the deity home and then serving the deity in any which way he could, making so many mistakes on the way, acknowledging them. That's really brave, very courageous, to do what he's doing. And I'm sure that his service in whatever form he gives now through, eternity, the lordships are going to accept his service. They're going to accept his seva because he's so faithful to them, and he is open-minded. He doesn't have a closed mind, and I really appreciate everything that I've heard and seen over the last 48 hours. And he's been discussing bringing these deities, and was really worried how he'd, transport them from India to here, and the challenges he's had. I don't know. I remember that we brought our festival deities at the temple, Radha Krishna deities, probably about 17 or 18 years ago, maybe longer, from England. And we brought them with us in the flight. And we were stopped at so many places. And there was always a question, is there something in the deities, this, that, and the other, But it was a challenge even in those days, and they were not this heavy. They were brass deities, and the ones that we have for Janmashtami celebrations, those were the ones we picked up from a warehouse in England. We had no idea what we were looking for, but we just had prayed to Radha Madhavari, whoever you pick, we'll bring in. I remember we saw so many pairs of Radha Krishna, and we decided, take one Krishna and one Radha from different pairs, because that's what we thought looked better than the original sets. So it's not easy, and I appreciate everything, and I hope you all also appreciated his enthusiasm and such a grand celebration. So a big thank you to Anantha Chaithanya Prabhu and his family. And I don't know how many of you know, but his mother's not well, and she's been serving the deities for about 7 or so years, faithfully. And I told her, I said, you can still serve him, just take a nice photograph and serve the frame, just have a frame, a picture frame, and serve him as if he's still there, because as we read in the scriptures, whether you have photograph, paper, wood, metal, anything, even, drawing the Lord in sand, everything's acceptable to worship. So she felt a little bit better that she'll be able to continue her service in some way. So, but I appreciate everything they've done, to bring Shishi Radha Vrindavan Bihari to the US. And also, he told me, and when he said he was making such grand plans and he had this big altar, and I said, you know what? If you have this big altar here, you're not going to have time to serve Radha Madhav Hari. And as he himself said today, no, I'm bringing this deity because they're going to encourage me to do more seva for Radha Madhav Hari. As Prabhupada says, the temple deities, if you worship and do all the seva for Radha Madhav Hari at the temple, your deities at home are automatically served. And he promised me that, and he also reiterated that today. And I'm really grateful to him for being so open-minded and also realizing that the center of our activities in Radha Madhav Hari Dham should be Radha Madhav Hari. So I pray that you also agree with that. So having said this, and the mood also I found of service is just incredible. Even the family members, as he was saying, they also appreciated, although they're not devotees, they also looked forward to the Pushpa Abhishekam that he had once a year. And now we all know why he looks forward to and brings the Radhashmi Pushpa Abhishek to Phoenix, because he's already been doing that. But he does it in a much grander scale for Radha Madhav Hari. And please give him a big round of applause for all his seva to Radha Madhav Hari and the enthusiasm. He plans this for 1 year, okay? As soon as Radhashmi finishes, he's working on the next year Radhashmi. What flowers he'll use, what colors, this, that, and the other. He already has a dress for Radhashmi now. When he went to India, he showed it to me. And he doesn't like to show it to everyone. He said, it has to be a surprise. And that's how he did his installation. He kept everything, he would not even let everybody staying here look at the altar or look at the lordships. He didn't give any darshan until now. So he's he's got some, ideas, and he sticks with them. And I think somebody said today, one-man show, but it's because he is so determined to serve his deities in a certain way. And not having so many family members being devotees, he has to put his foot down. Because I remember, my grandmother used to do that, because we would do things that we are not supposed to do in the altar, and she would put her foot down. So he reminds me of my grandma, who was very, very strict on how we served our altar deities at home. So what I decided I had different plans, when I was asked to give this class, what to talk about. And then just 2 days ago, I changed my plan, and I decided that I will just read something from Bhagavad Gita and talk about Lord Krishna's birth and his activities, because it's kind of related to what's going on here. And I hope you'll appreciate what little I will share with you. So we start with Shri Radha Madhav Hari, or should I just go straight into class? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, from chapter 4, titled Transcendental Knowledge, and text number 9. You all probably know it and you're welcome to recite it with me, because you probably do a better job than I will. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyakva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. Word for word translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Janma, birth, karma, work, cha, also, me, of mine, divyam, transcendental, evam, like this, yaha, anyone who, veti, knows, tattvataha, in reality, tyakva, leaving aside, deham, this body, punaha, again, janma, birth, na, never, eti, does attain, mam, unto me, eti, does attain, saha, he, Arjuna, O Arjuna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Purport. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empirical philosophers. As stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Deva Nitya Lila Nurakto, Bhakta Vyapi Hridaya Antar Atma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tattvam Asi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, "You are the same Supreme Brahman," the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tameva vidvati mrityum eti narayanaha pantha vidyate anyanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. That there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. So, in the first 3 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun was thinking more about himself, his suffering, and how he was going to attain liberation or plan for his liberation. And in this 4th chapter that is titled Transcendental Knowledge, Krishna diverts his attention and raises his consciousness to a higher platform. Because Krishna observed his submissiveness and he was also very intelligent, the way he was putting forward his arguments through the first 3 chapters. And it's like a child, when a child breaks a toy and laments, the mother will try and divert his attention, so that he can, by something different, to distract him from the lamentation, So Krishna tells Arjun that he had instructed the science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan, who had in turn instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and who in turn had instructed it to Ikshvaku. And then after that the knowledge was lost. And so Arjun was intelligent, and we should also be like him, not accept something just because it's been told to you. If you have a doubt, you question. Partial knowledge is a dangerous thing. So Arjuna asked Krishna, how do I know that you gave this knowledge to the sun god? Because it's very important to know the truth. And he was thinking, Krishna looks like me. I play with him. He's a Kshatriya, I am a Kshatriya, and I've done so many activities with him. But he cannot be an ordinary person, if he has given knowledge to the sun god. So he asks Krishna, how do I understand you? So in the verses 4, 5, and 6, Lord Krishna explains to him. So he raises his doubts. So I'll just read the translations of 4, 5, and 6. So Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Then in verse 5 he says, the personality of God had said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of enemy. And then in 6, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So in this verse, Krishna is talking about his birth and his activities. Generally speaking, we are all interested in our own activities and our own birthdays. And, most of us are not interested in Krishna's birthday or his appearance, his birth. And so, the knowledge here that we have is quite important. And Krishna's activities are not like ours. His birth is not like ours. We are forced to take birth because of our karma. But the Lord appears here by His sweet will. And is obviously, as we said, not an ordinary personality. We are sort of teeny tiny souls and have tendency to forget. And we don't even remember what we did, 2 or 3 hours ago, maybe even half an hour ago, But Krishna, and our body changes, but Krishna does not forget anything, and his body does not change, and there's no duality in him, What you see inside and outside is the same. And it's like when once Balram came to Mother Yashoda and complained that Krishna has eaten mud. And so Mother Yashoda went to Krishna and said, open your mouth, you've eaten mud. And Krishna said, who told you that? They're lying. I have not eaten any mud. And so Mother Yashoda said, let me look, open your mouth. So in Krishna's mouth, as we all know, she saw the universal form of Krishna in there. She saw herself. She saw Krishna in there. She saw, all the kings, the demons, everything. And this really confused her a lot. And she was really bewildered. And she started to pray to Narayan and said, please protect my son, And with Krishna's potency, she was able to see, with the arrangement of Krishna's potency, he was able to see the universal form of the Lord in his mouth. And also by his, potency, he also made her forget that, because he did not want her to be in awe and reverence, of him. So we cannot understand Krishna. It's very, very difficult to understand Krishna. And how did Krishna take birth? He appeared to Devaki and Vasudeva, and just before that, Kamsa had killed 6 sons right in front of them, just smashed them on the wall. And although they had heard the Akashvani that the 8th child was going to kill Kamsa, and that was going to be, the Supreme Personality of Godhead taking birth or appearing, they still were so worried, that Kamsa would kill him. Krishna. Again, it's because we cannot understand Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so just before the child was born, Krishna was born. What time? 5 minutes. Okay, I don't have much time. So, but before Krishna was born, the demigods had come and prayed to the Lord, and eventually, when Krishna did take birth, lo and behold, he came as a 4-armed child, Vishnu form, and fully clothed with a crown and all the ornaments. And we know that no child can do that. No parent can dress a child like that. So again, it's divyam appearance. And as soon as Vasudeva and Devaki saw Krishna like that, they asked him immediately to change that form, because Kamsa would kill him immediately if he saw Vishnu form. And so the Lord had to, change his form. And, Krishna had appeared at that time not only to kill Kamsa, but also to deliver Devaki, because Kamsa had persecuted them so much, So the Lord takes his birth for different reasons, and that's in the verses 7 and 8. I can just say that, to deliver the devotees from demonic elements, to reestablish the principles of religion, and to perform pastimes to satisfy the devotees with loving exchanges. And the Lord is definitely a supreme person. His activities are transcendental. And as it said in this verse, one who understands this is a liberated person. And the path for the personalities, impersonalists, is very, very hard. And with all the hard endeavor and the tapasya they do for many, many years, they still only get partial liberation, and there's no safety. They can also come back. So a devotee understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full of inconceivable potencies, and he's a well-wisher and reservoir of all the rasas, as Anantha Chaithanya mentioned earlier today. And Bhakti is simple and sublime. Again, you see just from our Anantha Chaithanya Prabhu how simple and sublime, and how far you can reach with just that faith, and be able to believe also in the Supreme Person, and also hear, like he did in the bus when he went to the pilgrimage, for the 17 days, and how his mind, was changed. So devotion is very, very important, and we can do this through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. I'll stop here. There was a lot more I could read. I also wanted to read the verse 251. Please try and read that. It's connected to this, because it's the first time in the Bhagavad Gita here, Krishna says after the verse 251 that how he's easily attainable. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Enjoy the rest of the festival.